What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Evan Gun Stuff. Today we have the 365X with the PMM comp setup. This is Connor's new concealed carry, and he's going to be joining us for this video. I think you've been liking this gun so far. What you think?
This thing's dope.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. We're going to talk about some of the selling points, why we think this is one of the best concealed carry setups out right now, and his setup and your experiences with it.
For sure.
So without further ado, guys, we're going to get right into this one.
Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen him down bad, now they tryna hate. Same one shot to hit me for the raise. Got a mill, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex, but I'm pushing out a weight. Told them all I swear I got is what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
All right, guys, so on this gun, we have the PMM barrel with the single port brake. We've got the Holosun 507K. We have the Streamlight TLR7 sub, and we've got the Tactical Development Pro Ledge on the side. This thing's awesome, man. Shoots really well. Super flat shooting.
That's awesome. So what grip module are you running right now?
This is the X grip.
The X grip? Okay, cool. The X grip's really good, man. Like, it fits your hand just perfectly. Like, you don't have any pinky dangle, but you also don't have like any extra real estate there. So it's like really as small as I would go for a concealed carry gun.
I agree.
Just because I hate that bullshit whenever you're like holding a gun and you're doing the reload and your pinky's just doing this. Like,
that sucks.
Yeah, that shit sucks for sure. But this,
and if it doesn't suck, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, don't cope.
Do better.
All right, guys, so I just want to go over the price point of this entire setup for you guys. Right off the bat, your expensive stuff is going to be your comp and your optic. Your optic, which is the 507K, is going to be $340. Your PMM comp setup is going to be $360. A Sig 365 is about anywhere between like $500 to $700. Just for the video, we're going to call it $600. The TLR7 sub is about $150, and then the Tactical Development Pro Ledge on the light is going to be right at $50 off their website. All the different grip modules are about $90, but we're going to factor that into the overall price of the 365. So now we're going to talk about what makes this gun stand out and our honest opinions on it. My honest opinion on Sig is it's not necessarily my favorite brand, just because I'm not a huge fan of the 320, which they've been pushing for a long time. I think that that's a unproven platform that gets a lot more love and a lot more hype than it deserves, in my opinion. I know it's going to get some hate in the comment because a lot of you guys are Sig blowhards, but that's okay. I like the 365 a lot though. I think it's a great platform. They haven't had any drop issues out of it and anything like that. That being said, the first thing that I notice whenever I shoot the Sig 365 versus my concealed carry, which is the Scotto CS, is how skinny this grip is, and we'll show you guys that. You'll see it in the range footage. This grip is super skinny, which is great for concealment. Right. It feels really good whenever you're carrying an appendix, but just going from a staccato to this, it feels like there's not a whole lot to grab onto. That being said, I don't have any problems with the recoil moving the gun in my hand or follow-up shots or anything like that. It's actually really comfortable to shoot, but it is something that I notice and something that I'm not personally a huge fan of. With all that being said, I do think that the Sig 365 X Macro and I think that the 365 PMM comp is about as good as you're gonna get for modern concealed carry. I think that it's the perfect blend of lightweight, concealability, super flat with the comps, and I just think that it shoots amazing, and I think that it's probably one of the best concealed carry options that you can buy right now. Would you agree with that?
I would. Right off the bat, talking about is Sig the best? But also, I think that if you're looking for something that's going to have, you know, extremely accurate follow-up shots in a very compact package, I don't think you're going to get much better than this. Yeah. I mean, this gun doesn't move, as y'all see from all the range footage. It shoots like a full-size gun.
Yep.
17+1 with our little extension here. I mean, I've owned a macro. I've shot the shit out of macros. This thing shits on macros with this PMM setup.
You've also owned the Glock 43X, the Glock 45, the CZ P07,
Glock 48.
Glock 48,
Yeah.
which, I mean, I think that this gun is way less snappy than any of the subcompact Glocks. I would hope so, just seeing that it's comped. That being said, this is a $1,500 gun.
It's also smaller. This is an opinion, but I think it's smaller than the Glocks too.
You think it feels smaller?
Yeah, I think it feels smaller. I think size-wise, if we're talking about the end of the barrel right here, it's smaller than a 43X or a 48. And so the fact that you're getting a gun that's lighter, smaller, has less recoil is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it is an expensive setup. It's $1,500, but I think it's $1,500 well spent. And I really, again, I want to harp on this. I really do think that this is about as good as you're going to get with the modern industry and what it has to offer. I think that staccatos and the concealed carry 2011s are kind of the future, but at the same time, I think that this is years and years of development and years of competition among different gun manufacturers to bring you something like this. And I think that it's honestly a fantastic platform.
So for any of y'all that aren't familiar with the P320, P365 platform, crawl out from under the rock you've been living under and listen up. These guys do have an internal fire control unit that is the only serialized part of this firearm, which makes these really cool pieces because you can swap out all the frames, you can swap out all the slides, you can swap out barrels, triggers, everything, and it is still the same gun.
Frames are super cheap too. Like you can
Sub
buy them
$100
used.
bucks.
Yeah, like $100. I see them going used all day for like 50, 60 bucks.
Yeah.
So like you could do like the Wilson Combat, you could do the Macro, you could do the Standard.
Icarus.
Sharp
Bros.
Shout out Icarus, bro. Those frames are freaking badass and they look amazing, and I bet they feel just as good as they look.
Yep.
We're gonna lead that into the finish. So I think that there's a little something special about the PMM setup. Is that right?
Yeah, so the PMM setup is going to be DLC.
Okay,
So-
DLC coating. If y'all remember the Staccato CS video, the DLC coating is my favorite coating, period. It's super tough. You literally cannot scratch that stuff.
Can't.
What about the finish on the gun?
So the frame is just a tan polymer, just like the 19Xs. It's not Cerakote, it's not any sort of finish, it's just colored polymer that they mold. The slide itself is steel, but it's a nitron finish. So very durable, you know, just beating it up, training in and out of holsters, in the door panel of your car, in a glove box, whatever. You're not gonna take any abuse. It's not gonna scratch and rust and all that shit. It's very durable.
It seems pretty tough for sure, and it's pretty appealing to the eye too. Like it doesn't have any gloss to it. It's got a nice matte finish. I think it's a great looking gun,
It looks
honestly.
extremely similar to the DLC.
Yeah.
Like look-wise. Obviously, it's not going to be as tough as DLC, and the DLC may have a little bit more of a sheen to it, but still, it color-wise, it's pretty damn identical.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the coating they did is really good. I always appreciate when a company does a nice solid coating on a gun. The PMM comp setup having the DLC coating is fantastic because the front of the gun is always where you get all your holster wear and stuff, so just knowing that you're not going to have any visible wear for a long time is just an added plus for sure.
Not only that, but think about, you know, as having a break of any kind with any sort of finish, all the pressure and all of the fire and all of the blowback is leaving this port. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to take a lot of abuse over time, especially if you consistently put rounds through it. It gets hot, it cools off.
Yeah, having a tough coating is definitely it plays into the price for sure, but again, like I said in the Staccato video, if I could pay a little bit more for a DLC coating, I always will.
And you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for, absolutely. I think that that's kind of a running theme in our videos, is that we like to talk about nice guns, but we talk about nice guns because you get what you pay for, and if you're chasing perfection, especially out of something that you're going to be concealed carrying that your life might depend on one day, it's worth it spending that much money. I hate to be that guy, but everybody always talks about it. How much is your life worth to you? You know what I mean? Like
A hell of a lot more than a dagger.
Absolutely. So something I do want to talk about, you guys, is Sig as a company. I think that they do a lot of their R&D with their customers, and what I mean by that is that they've been known to put out a product that is not tried and true, tested 100%, and then they find out their problems out in the field.
A couple times, yeah.
A couple times. The biggest instance of that is going to be the drop safe Sig 320. Those things continue to go off in people's holsters, continue to go off when they're dropped, and Sig even claimed that it was fixed, whereas it's still happening.
Yep.
I think that that's kind of bullshit. I think that that shouldn't be happening, and that's the reason that I cannot recommend the Sig 320 platform. I know that all you guys out there are running the Legions and the DH3s and all that bullshit, and they're great. They probably shoot amazing, and you probably come in high places at your competitions and shit, but for a gun that I'm carrying every day, for something I trust with my life, I don't want this gun to go off when I don't want it to.
Right.
Ever. And that's just like the Glock guy in me. I want a gun that's reliable, that's going to do exactly what I want it to do every time. But I think that when you're spending this kind of money, you deserve that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your average SIG costs more than your average Glock, costs more than your average CZ, costs more than your average a lot of guns. But at the same time, a lot of their R&D is out in the field where it matters the most.
Right. And I think the most important thing to remember is this is not a 320.
No.
This is something that has had a ton of R&D put into it.
Yep.
Time and time again, these have been proven safe.
Yep.
This is not, this is not something that's going to go off in an appendix holster.
Nope.
This is a very reliable platform that, it's designed to work.
So something I want to harp on, guys, this is not a hit piece on SIG. I think that the 365 is fantastic, and you're not going to have any of those drop safe issues with this gun. The 365 platform is fantastic. Their other guns are great. Their spears, all their rifles, and all that good stuff. Even the 226s, which have been used for a long, long time in the line of service, fantastic guns. The only problem I have is with the 320, and I still think that SIG is a fantastic company.
I agree. I agree. With that being said, though, I do think that SIG is especially notorious for slightly redesigning stuff and then marking it the fuck up.
Yeah, right.
Look at the recently released Fuse. It's a macro with a slightly longer slide,
And
a DLC coating, some slide relief, and it's damn near, it's $400 more.
Right, yeah.
They stipple something and add a port to it, and they charge $400, $500, $600. And that's kind of a joke. And I think a lot of people are going to ask, watching this video, they're going to go, well, why didn't you just buy a macro? Because I'm not paying for shit that I don't need.
Right.
I went through piece by piece and I said, what do I want on this gun? I want a gas pedal. I want a brake. I want a flashlight. And I went through and I designed that myself for what I'm using it for. If I want it stippled, I'm going to stipple it. I'm not going to go expect SIG to stipple it for me and pay them $300 to do that.
Right, exactly. I think that's great, and you have a really good point on that. I do appreciate, however, the fact that SIG allows you to do that customization, and their platform accepts that level of dialing in.
Right.
Just with all the parts that you have, there's a lot of aftermarket for these guns. There's also a lot of SIG manufactured parts that are interchangeable with these guns to where you can kind of dial them in, staying within SIG.
Yeah.
That being said, the PMM setup is by far, in our opinion, flatter than the macro.
100%. Yeah, this gun outshoots the macro every day of the week. If you don't believe me, go get a PMM setup.
Go try it. Yeah.
You'll wake up.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed at all with the PMM setup. Again, this is a $1,500 setup, which a lot of people are going to say, well, my $500 365 shoots just as good. No, it doesn't.
No,
Sorry. So I want to talk about how high up your hand sits on this gun. And everybody talks about bore axis this, bore axis that. The bore axis is basically how high your hand rides up on the gun relative to the height of the barrel. And what that does for you is you guys that shoot Walther PDPs know this all too well, because those guns have a really high bore axis. It creates a more snappy gun. The 320, however, your hand sits up really high. So right off the bat, without even a comp setup or anything, you're already gonna have less muzzle rise than a lot of guns. And it does feel really good. That being said, this gun will bite your ass if you are not careful. If your hand rides up too high and you got really big webs, then be careful. But again, don't be scared of this gun. Just train with it. It's not that hard.
So revisiting the point that we made earlier about 320s versus 365s, just to kind of clarify, the only part that the 365 shares with the 320 is the striker cups.
Okay.
So essentially it's just the shroud that separates the striker from the wall of the slide. So
the problems that haunt the 320 should not be carried over to the 365.
Right.
Again, do not be scared to drop this gun. It's fine. This gun has never had a problem like that, and I don't think it will.
It's a carry gun. It's designed to be banged up and carried and put in an appendix holster. It's not a science experiment.
Yeah, it's not an excuse for a duty gun. So in conclusion, you guys, I don't want y'all to beat me up too bad in the comments. I know I talk a lot of shit about the 320, but again, I think SIG's a great company. I think they do a lot of really cool stuff.
Get him.
Don't get me. Leave me alone. Look, we all got opinions. Everybody's got one. That's just mine. In conclusion, though, wrapping up, I think that $1,500 is a lot to spend on a concealed carry gun, but I do think that this is the best thing the industry has to offer right now.
I also think you will, if you're wanting a flashlight and an optic, you're going to spend $1,500 on damn near any carry gun on accident.
Right, yeah. I mean, you might be a couple $100 short or a little bit over.
It might be
over,
12 or 18,
right.
but you're in that range.
Yeah, exactly. If you want a gun that's got a red dot, got a flashlight, got a decent holster, all this stuff, you're going to be sitting around that price point anyways. So with that in mind, I think that this is one of the best setups that you can go with. Again, it's going to be less snappy than a 48 or a 43X.
Or a macro.
Or a macro. Like all these guns, it's going to outshoot as far as how snappy it is in follow-up shots, which we're seeing that on our shot timer. We're seeing it in our splits. Like, it's evident. Like,
y'all are seeing it in the range footage?
Right. It's not just an opinion at that point. Like, there's data to back it up, and our shot timer, the shot timer don't lie.
Timer don't lie.
Absolutely. With all that being said, you guys, I sure do appreciate all the support on the channel. We've got a couple really, really cool videos coming up.
Yeah.
There might be a couple sneak peeks somewhere around here. But with all that being said, you guys, I sure do appreciate all the support. Y'all keep liking and commenting. Let me know what y'all want to see. Peace.
Cause I say it respectfully. It's time to eat up, red like a speeder, taking it deeper, and that's how it better be. I never let the comparison get to me. I just remember the promises meant for me. I know the enemy and that he's sent for me. I keep the blood of the lamb as my centerpiece. I cannot trust in no crystals or energy.